This is She Fascinates Me, a podcast about women who are living with intention, curiosity, and heart. I'm Julie Silber, and in each episode, I'm bringing you conversations with women who inspire fascination in all its forms. Today's conversation is a very special one for me because I have the privilege of sitting down with one of the most influential people in my life, my mom. When I think about the woman who shaped me, I think about someone who taught by example. She showed me what it means to be kind, gracious, and thoughtful. She taught me etiquette, but more importantly, she taught me character. She modeled integrity, resilience, generosity, and the importance of treating people with respect. She showed me how to be a lady, how to be a good partner, and ultimately, many of the lessons that guided me into motherhood myself. But before she was my mom, she was a young girl with a remarkable story of her own. At just 5 years old, she immigrated to the U.S. with her family, beginning a new chapter in a new country. She fell in love with my father, only to face the uncertainty and heartache of having him deployed to Vietnam shortly after they were married. Together, they navigated those challenges and later built a life and a business, supporting one another through the entrepreneurial adventure that became our family's antiques business for over 40 years. She is strong without being loud, elegant without being showy, and loving in a way that has made everyone around her feel safe and cared for. And to me, she's simply magical. So today we're going to unpack her story, from her earliest memories to the life she's built, the lessons she's learned, and the wisdom she's gathered along the way. I can't wait for you to get to know her the way that I do. So before we dive in, I am an independent creator, and this podcast is going to grow with YouTube subscriptions. Those help me more than you know. So if you haven't already, please take a second to subscribe. This is episode 24 of She Fascinates Me, and that's your lucky number because you and Dad have an anniversary on August 24th. How many years married are you now?
58.
It'll be 58 this year?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. All right.
Yep.
So this is my mom, Emka Kuzmano. I'm so happy to have you on my podcast.
Thank you.
Because you fascinate me and I love you. And how could I not have you on my show? Because you've been through so many things and you've supported me and you've supported Dad with the family business. And you just made such a wonderful sense of home and family for all of us. And I just think this is a fun way to honor all of that. So thank you for carving out time on a Sunday to sit with me in your pretty house.
I'm honored. Thank you.
So we are here to kind of go through what your life has been like since being a little girl in Holland, moving to America when you were 5 or was it 6?
5.
Yeah. And you didn't speak any English.
No.
Right? Do you remember any of that time? What must that have been like for a little girl?
Breakfast table before kindergarten. I learned 2 words. My favorite food was peanut butter.
Okay.
And bathroom.
That's so cute. Now, I know the Dutch word for peanut butter, pinderkaas.
Right. Very good.
And did you just eat peanut butter for the first time and fall in love with it? Or had you had it in
had
Holland?
peanut butter in Holland.
So you knew you wanted it. And if you wanted it, you had to learn the word.
Right.
Okay.
And so went to kindergarten, and Miss Moore was our kindergarten teacher.
What a memory you have.
Well, she was so sweet. And every lunchtime, she would have me walk the playground with a fellow student, a little girl, and we'd walk and I'd learn words.
Okay.
And the best story from that year was that I had thought that in America they had a new word for God, and it was George Washington.
Oh my gosh.
Because he did no wrong. He didn't tell a lie, and he was such a good president, but I didn't know what a president was.
Okay.
And so I just assumed all these good things were George Washington, God's American version.
That is adorable. I never heard you tell that story. How cute.
Yeah, it just came to mind.
Oh my gosh. That's really cute. Oh, I love it. So what prompted the family to move to America, first of all, from Holland?
It was after World War II because I was born in 1948. And so Holland was in pretty rough shape. And on top of that all, they had a horrible flood. And relatives from America on my mother's side of the family came and they said, we'll sponsor you to come to America. It's time to say goodbye and make a new beginning.
Okay.
And so I had 2 brothers. I was the oldest, and the 5 of us went to America.
And when a family sponsors another family to move, to make such a big move, that means financially helping you make it happen or helping you decide where to move to, getting to know the people, or is it kind of all of the above? Do you know?
I don't remember the financial help.
Okay.
That was never even a question, I
And it
don't
may not
think.
have even been necessary, but I was just
Right.
curious because I've never really heard that word before. But it makes sense that someone
Yeah.
should help you along the
But
way.
we had a lot of help.
Yeah.
And there were lots of people that left after the war, and on my mother's side of the family, those that survived the war. And so we had an apartment. But may I mention that the ship was lovely. It was a Holland America Line, so it was a beautiful ship. But we spent it in the infirmary because my brother Paul came down with the measles.
Oh, gosh.
And so we were all
All of you
yes,
had to be in a quarantine.
in quarantine. Right.
Wow. Do you have a visual memory of what that was like? Were you sleeping on bunk beds or cots? I'm sure the accommodations were not as lovely as they would have been if you were in the main cabin as intended.
It didn't seem to be a problem. Everyone was very nice. I remember it was still, pleasant, but I was only 5 years old, so what are you really
So maybe it was even
expecting?
fun,
Yeah.
for you, right?
In a way.
Kind of an adventure. But were you worried? Do you remember? Were you worried about Uncle Paul?
No.
Okay.
Everything was taken care of.
Yeah.
But the only real memory I have of it is that the nurse came to me as we entered the harbor in New York and said she was going to show me something special. And I was standing on the toilet with the ship's window in the round, and that's how I saw the Statue of Liberty.
Wow. Standing on the toilet.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
There are other ways to see it, but that was that's my only memory, really. And then the relatives that awaited us at the landing of the ship.
Okay.
So that was that memory.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, gosh, did it just feel so huge compared to where you were living in Holland, moving to America, arriving in New York City?
It was huge.
Yeah.
And the language. All of a sudden, you don't have people that you understand very well.
What was the vibe that you remember as a child in that moment when you were coming to America? Was it excitement? Do you remember if there was any fear, or does it just feel any specific way to you when you look back on that?
I think the family that awaited us was so nice.
Yeah.
They all spoke English, but they also spoke German. None of them were Dutch.
Okay.
So I think that exposure helped me learn German.
And you didn't know German yet?
At all.
So really at 5 you knew Dutch?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
But my father had been a translator during World War II for the British forces, excuse me. And so he spoke English, French, and German.
Okay.
So I'm sure he was a big help. And languages just was around our house.
Yes. And so why don't you rattle off the languages that you speak?
English, German, French, and Dutch.
Yeah. So you beat
Followed.
OPA. You surpassed OPA with 4 languages.
I guess
yes.
so.
Yes. So fast forward to starting school and getting acclimated to American life. So did you pick up the language pretty quickly? Do you remember that?
Yep. I think first year was so helpful because of the playground language. And then also the teachers were always so kind. And it's really about patience.
Yeah.
How kind people are when they're talking with you and speaking slowly. And and also we didn't have television. And we came in October, and Thanksgiving was November, of course. And the neighbors across the street had gotten a TV, and they invited us over. And so that was a really good way to learn a language, too, because of children's programs. And, so between school and nice holidays that came in, Santa Claus, they were the turkey bit, that was all new.
Yeah.
And so there were so many exposures that seemed to be made perfectly for children, I think.
Yeah.
And that was a great time of year to come.
So Opa spoke English. And did Oma, your mom, speak any English, or she had to learn as well? So the whole family, except for Opa, is having to learn English together. How interesting that must have been. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about Oma first before we get into our conversation, because Oma, my grandma, was an incredible woman. And she died, how many years ago? Was it, the anniversary was just a few days ago,
Last
actually.
week, yeah.
And I whenever I see a rainbow, I think of Oma
Yeah.
because I haven't had a lot of people that I've lost in my life. And so I wanted to attach something positive to that when she died. And the other day, on the 27th, right? I think the 27th of May is the anniversary
Yeah,
each year.
exactly.
And so the other day I was playing tennis and I looked up in the sky and there was a smile rainbow.
Oh,
I've never seen a smile rainbow. I've always seen a rainbow this way or like straight across, but it was so cool. And
I
so, yeah.
didn't see. I was looking for one. The closest I came was a cloud that went like this.
Okay.
But it looked
Yeah.
more like a mustache, so I didn't think it was a rainbow.
That's funny. So Oma was a very incredibly strong woman.
Yeah.
And I mean, if she were still here today, we would have to have a conversation with her right next to you because her story is incredibly fascinating, but we're not going to go into detail
Okay.
out of respect to her. But she survived the Holocaust.
Right.
And so you were raised by one of the strongest women that anyone would ever meet. And that just, I think, paints a picture of who you are today and the things that you've had to deal with health-wise and just with life challenges and raising a family and all of that because you knew that your mom had such a horrifying experience. And I think even though it was such a terrible thing to endure, it gave you a gift, I think, of strength just from the compassion you had to have for her.
Yeah. And just as a role model,
Yeah.
it was amazing.
Yeah.
But I didn't learn about it right away. I never knew until I was probably 12 or 13.
Do you remember what that conversation was? Is it something she brought up to you, or was it Oma and Opa who sat you down? And did they only tell you, or did they share it with all of the kids at one time?
I think it was one by one.
Yeah.
But
And you were
that's
the oldest,
a
so they
guess
probably
on
told
my
you
part.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you have to be old enough to understand just what that all is.
Yes.
And not unless you've lived through a war. How can you possibly imagine? And even today, if I hear the news, I think, how do people survive living through something like that? That's a challenge.
It's kind of hard to come up with single adjectives to describe such an incredible woman that Oma was. I have so many ideas of words that describe her well. Fairness is one of them. And patience and warmth.
Oh, yeah. And she loved you. She had so much love, really. And I have a memory of her. She had a sister who, because she was 18, was able to come to the United States, and she lived with an aunt and uncle. And the sister didn't know that Oma had survived.
Okay.
And, excuse me, and very dear relatives found her through the Red Cross and through great effort. They found her in Japan with her military American husband. And somehow, and even the FBI had worked on this to try and find her, if I remember correctly. And so when the letter came, there was a letter that came that said that she had been found. And I remember Mom crying. But I was too young. This was in Holland yet, so I must have been 3 or 4. But that is a memory that, and they said, when you get older, we'll tell you.
We'll tell you. So does that mean that you really didn't see Oma cry very much? Yeah, which is incredible,
Never.
right? Because I know, just from what you've told me, that there wasn't a whole lot going on support-wise for people who survived the war. And so she had to have been holding in a lot over the years. Oma was an incredibly private person, and I think you are too. And so even though in the past you've dealt with leukemia and now you deal with Parkinson's, you don't go around sharing it with people. You like things to just be normal, and you keep some things inside and you struggle with it inside, but you never want to make any of that about you. You don't like the focus to be on that. You just want to be with people, and you just want to be with people and enjoy the moment and not have to attach Parkinson's to it. Does that help you deal with the Parkinson's in some way?
I think having family that loves you can make all the difference. I don't have to go somewhere else looking for that. And you and Phil and Dad are just so supportive.
Okay.
And when you have that spirit around you, it's everything you need.
Okay.
It really is.
That's interesting that you put it that way, that you don't have to go somewhere else for support with it, meaning you don't necessarily need to share it with others to get a feeling of support, because you do feel like we fill your cup
Yeah.
in that way. Okay.
Thank you.
Of course.
It is.
I just don't know that I have that quality. I wonder sometimes to myself, if I ever had to deal with something like that, I would probably mention it to people for fear of them noticing, or if I felt insecure about it. And you just keep on motoring through every day with the day-to-day. And that is just one of the most fascinating things about you, I think, because you're really strong.
Thank you.
And I don't necessarily think that it's an unhealthy thing to keep it to yourself. It's just how you choose. You choose to be private, and it seems to work for you. I also feel like it helps you stay positive, too.
Yeah. Maybe I haven't thought about that deeply, but
No, I see that for sure, especially in your relationship with Dad. Dad's always building you up, and he calls you Sparky. And if he sees that you're seemingly fatigued or not interested in doing something in the moment, he nudges you along, and then you get into it, and you're fine, and you're happy, and you're glad that he nudged you.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So back to Oma, do you have a recollection of how she adjusted to life in America, and knowing, once you got older, when you look back at learning what her history was with the war, and you look back at that time, how do you remember her getting used to life in the U.S.?
I think it was very positive because it was a fresh beginning and so much to learn. And she was a very intelligent person. She didn't finish school the way we all did. That wasn't allowed. And so she read a lot, and she loved music, and she loved history and art. Her parents taught her a lot when she was living at home. And so you see the importance of family and how they can fill in the blanks for you.
The fact that she was so intelligent and self-taught is really incredible. And you are such an avid reader too. So I love that you probably developed your love of reading because that was happening in your household. Yeah. You love to read books that are about this thick with 800 pages. I do not roll that way.
It's got to be a good book.
I like to listen to books, but talk about the types of books that you enjoy, because they're really sophisticated and you have such a knowledge of history and royalty, and it's just very cool, the genres that you like to read.
Thank you. But
why don't you talk about your favorite genres?
Favorite historical character is probably Catherine the Great from Russia. And especially because if you compare what Russia was and what it is today, and that's one of those huge books. I've read it 3 times. Wow. Actually, it's that good.
Does it feel different each time you read it? Do you pick up on different things?
It's a different perspective. Okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right. And I'm not as avid about American history, I think because I did a lot of that in school. But the European history, and even China and Japan, I've enjoyed reading that too. Have a hard time with fiction.
Okay.
Yeah. So what kind of books do you like to read?
Well, I love memoirs. I love books that have very rich character development, but especially if it's like one person's memoir. I really like that. I don't enjoy books that have so many characters or so many plot twists. It's a little hard for me to keep up with that. Yeah. But we're going to circle back to your love of reading and your encyclopedia of knowledge as it relates to the family business. But first, let's go back to, I guess, less of the childhood, but moving forward to how you met Dad. Can you tell the story of how you met Dad?
First week. Oh, wait a minute. Actually, orientation trip for college. We both went to Hofstra University in Long Island, and there was an orientation boat trip, and we met on that. And then a month later, it was the first week of school, and he was helping the girls move into the girls' dorm, and his father called my room from California. His father was living in California, called to speak to Bruce, and I said, "Oh yeah, I know him. He's in the building somewhere." And so
But he called your room? Why?
The switchboard switched him to the girls' dorm.
Oh, just by coincidence?
By coincidence.
Okay.
So I found him and said, "Your dad's on my phone." And so he came and took that call. So one thing added to another. And within the week, I think we were having breakfast together at the dorm cafeteria.
Okay.
At the excuse me, all the dormitories had this one cafeteria.
Yeah.
And I was so impressed because he always carried the New York Times with him.
Oh.
But we were so busy chatting that he never read the Times while we were having breakfast. And 2 years
That was like
later,
his little smart guy accessory, huh? The New
yeah,
York
just
Times under his arm.
I was impressed.
Yeah.
And had my first cocktail with him.
Oh, what was that?
Didn't even know what
You're
to
not a big
order.
drinker, so this is funny to
No.
me. Yeah.
So the girls said, "Oh, well, we had a fire drill." That's what it was. Met him again, and everyone after the fire drill said, "Let's go to whatever the name of the bar was." And I thought, "I'm going to a bar. I've never been to a bar. I'm going to have a cocktail. What am I going to have?" So I asked the girls, "What should I order?" And they said a slow gin fizz,
Okay.
first drink. And we found out that we'd both been in Europe at the same time, the exact same time that summer.
Okay.
We were in Brussels at the exact same
Wow.
time. We might have passed each other.
Perhaps.
And so it was cute circumstances. It was so nice.
Very cute.
And we were just, that was it from then on, that we only dated, excuse me, no, he had dated a couple of girls in between me. The Alper twins.
The Albert twins.
Albert. Yeah.
He dated twins.
Adorable. Yeah. He
Not at
actually
the same
dated
time,
twins.
but-
They may have switched.
Right.
Even.
It's like something out of
Because
a
they were
movie.
identical.
That's cute.
That was cute.
So,
So that's.
and how did he propose?
On the phone.
I love this story.
He left for California, and that same week I had just entered the dorm for the second year, and my phone rings and it's him. And "How's your trip?" "Fine." He said, "I miss you. Would you marry me?"
That's so sweet.
And I was just that over the moon. I thought, this is fantastic on the phone.
Yeah.
But I said yes right away.
Yeah.
And one of the girls in the dorm immediately started crocheting a blanket.
That's so
It
cute.
was so sweet. And a couple of days later, here she said, "Congratulations." And it was so sweet. So we didn't see each other then until Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And he came back home.
So then you and Dad get married. And then how soon after you're married did Dad go off to Vietnam?
Oh, 1 year.
1 year after.
Yeah, 1 year.
I can't even imagine what that must be like. I mean, I do okay with Justin traveling, and that's fine. But he had to be gone, I think, years ago when Arden was 2. He was in China for a month, and that was really hard. So can you explain what that life was like for a newlywed with your husband overseas? He was not in combat, thank God. So a lot of the worry might have been minimized, but still being so far away and with technology not being anywhere near what it is today. Can you kind of paint a picture of what that life was like for you both?
Okay, we moved into an apartment. And I think the day or so afterwards, he got his draft notice.
Gosh.
And so we moved out of the apartment. And my parents invited me to live with them while he was going to be away. And I'm really abbreviating all this.
Sure.
And then my parents got sent to Holland for opening up a company there. And so where was I going to be in this big house by myself? And so the neighbors across the street invited me to live with them until my parents got back.
Okay.
And meanwhile, Bruce goes to Vietnam, and he's fortunate in that he's at the largest base in Vietnam at the time, so that was good to know that he wasn't in the battlefield.
Right.
And that he was going to be a photographer, which he had trained for, but that was good too that he got his expectation. But still, the news reports every night and every morning, and the Walter Cronkite was the reporter and had his own news show and very trustworthy, and so you depended on that. But we wrote to each other every single day, and we had
Every day.
Every
Would you
day.
bring batches of letters to the post office once a week, or every day were you going to the post office and mailing?
Every day.
Wow.
And he the same. But his letters would get backed up sometimes because maybe they were sometimes scrutinized or whatever they
Sure.
whatever the word would be for that.
Pre-screened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so sometimes they backed up. And Mom would put the letters when they came as a batch on the door so that when I pulled in from work every day, there were either no letters or a whole bunch of them taped to the door so that I
Ready
would
for
see
you to
that right
open.
away. Yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet. Would you share them with her, or would you just take them somewhere private and open them up?
I would go upstairs
Yeah,
to her
yeah.
room and read them.
Gosh, that must have been such a mix of emotions, right?
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the longing for one another,
Yeah.
the excitement to find out what's going on,
Yeah.
but the one-dimensional aspect of just having a sheet of paper, because you weren't talking on the phone, were you?
Well, that happened also. We were very lucky that he had access every once in a while, but never knew when that would be. And it was always in the middle of the night.
Oh, wow.
So
So
it-
just a random middle of the night phone call.
2 or 3 o'clock in the
Occasionally.
morning.
Wow.
And so that would wake my parents up, and they would call. Mom would call. Oma would call and say, Bruce is on the phone.
Yeah.
And you'd have to hurry. You didn't know how long that would be. And so we would have occasionally, and we just felt so lucky of that.
How long could those phone calls be? Do you remember?
Never longer than 15 minutes, I
Okay.
don't think.
Wow.
But, yeah.
Do you feel like when you were talking with each other, you were just going 1,000 miles an hour trying to fit as much as you could?
Oh, yeah, you
or
did.
Okay. Yeah. You just kind of
exactly.
can't have a relaxed cadence for that kind of
It's not.
conversation. But sometimes too, I mean, it must have been frightening too. You don't know if you're getting a phone call about something bad or just a regular phone call from Dad, right?
Yeah, but that's
And you didn't have caller ID.
No, you didn't have caller ID.
Yeah.
But I never thought of it negatively.
Okay.
I don't know why I didn't let myself go there.
Well, probably because something that you've shared with me before about Oma, right? I just
Yeah.
think Oma always had a positive spin on things.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
You told me once, fairly recently, that if there was something negative that you felt or observed, that she would kind of spin it
Oh, yeah. She could do that.
into a positive.
Yep. Yep. And that was that's how she made it.
Yeah.
Really.
Quick favor, this independent podcast relies on YouTube subscriptions. So if you're enjoying the show, please take a second to subscribe. It helps me tremendously. And now we'll take a moment for the giving intermission. Don't fast forward. Your karma is watching. The charity spotlight is a little different this time than in the past because one of the things I'm most proud of with the way I contribute to the community is my parents' example of helping individuals and families when a need arises. Whether it's delivering a home-cooked meal or spending time mentoring someone or helping them get back on their feet, my mom and dad have done that together for as long as I can remember, and I have continued in that example. They've absolutely left a legacy, and I even see that quality in my daughter today. Thank you, Mom and Dad. So, if we connect the dots, the horrors that she had to endure and the strength that she had, she absolutely passed a lot of that strength on to you, and you were able to get through this period of time with your new husband, your brand new husband, being gone for so long. So how long was he in Vietnam?
A year.
A full year.
Yeah, November 11th to November 11th.
Okay.
Yeah. And boy, he did get home actually once for 2 weeks. I think
For
it was-
2 whole weeks?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So that was fabulous because of the expectation, and you had the wonderful time, but you have to say goodbye again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
But did you know that he was only going to be there for the year, or was that kind of unknown?
no, I think we knew it was
You
a
did
year.
know. Okay.
Yeah.
So that must have been helpful, knowing that there was an actual date that you could
Yeah.
hopefully count on. I suppose with war, you don't know for sure, right? But at least you were feeling pretty good that it was just going to be a year.
Yeah, and also I think that he was at that base, and he had a very wonderful man that was his officer in the photo situation, lab situation, who stayed a friend for even after the war,
Yeah.
and so I knew that relationship was good, and that he wasn't out on the battlefield.
Right. Yeah. Because coming back from Vietnam, I just know that my dad is not someone who's got PTSD from being in the war. Thank goodness.
No, but
Thank
there
goodness he was spared
yeah.
that. And I think I just remember when we were growing up, I remember every now and then he would hear from someone that he was in Vietnam with, and it was nice for them to be able to reconnect. And
Yeah.
I mean, certainly, I'm sure the whole situation was terrible to go through, but thankfully he got through it with minimal bad
Absolutely.
memories. Do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was not an easy time for people and families that had soldiers on the field.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, he even came back with some kind of fun stories and exciting
yeah.
stories. And
Yeah. Not exactly MASH, but
no, right. And so, yeah, I mean, you and Dad love watching MASH.
Yeah.
You still kind of watch old episodes together, which I
Yeah.
love. So, okay, so, the two of you got through that together, and that's huge. So then moving forward in your marriage, still early on, Dad is working in the corporate world and realizes that he's just not enjoying it, and he decides to do more with his antique clock collecting hobby and turn it into an antiques business. And
Right.
so, I mean, there's so much more to that story than I just mentioned, but you being such a supportive wife during the early stages of Dad building a business, I think is such a great story. And here you are with two young kids while Dad is building the business, and he was gone 10 days out of every month going to New York, and you're making it happen as our mom. So I just have the sweetest memories of this wholesome childhood in that station wagon, literally singing the cutest songs on the way to school. We weren't listening to the radio, we were singing. And that's part of your background too. When you were in high school and college, you did a lot of theater, and
yeah.
so you had a beautiful voice. And I remember we would sing in rounds,
Yeah.
and we would harmonize. I don't know if that's the same thing. They're different things,
Rounds
right?
is coming in at a different time.
We were like the Partridge Family, kind of. It was like a little much. When you look back at it, I bet there were some families that might have rolled their eyes at how happy
We were.
we all seem to be. Yeah. But, it's just it was a very pure, sweet early childhood and into the teen years. They loved the feeling of our family. They called us the Leave It to Beaver family, because there really was that kind of a vibe going on in our house. You were very polite and very correct. We did not say bad words. We did not watch horror movies. We weren't watching MTV. It was like really wholesome all the time.
Was that good?
It was good. I see a lot of that correctness and the etiquette in Arden today, I guess because it rubbed off on me and I've given it to her.
You have.
But I've sprinkled in some bad words here and there, which I think it's very funny when I drop one when I'm with you sometimes, because it's like shocking to you. And I think that's adorable, and don't ever change. But every now and then, if you say a bad word, which is a very rare occurrence, we
Which
all
one do I
crack
use?
up. I think you've said SHIT before. And
I did?
we were, yeah.
Oh,
And
dear.
we were like, oh my gosh, was that Mom? You must have really, really meant it.
I must have.
Yes, yes. So
That's cute.
anyhow, you have a very sweet, cute persona, and everybody who meets you loves you out of all of my friends. And I just think this is a fun opportunity for people to get to know you better and your backstory. So, after helping support Dad with building the family's architectural antiques business, he had to be gone so much. He had to be able to count on you to keep everything rolling with the family. And when he was home, you really had to tend to a very tired man, because what Dad was doing to build the business was very labor intensive, not to mention the stress economically on taking the risks that he and you were taking together as a couple financially to build this business. I mean, I do kind of remember that money was tight at some times, but everything was always fine. But I do have memories of, the belt having to be tightened sometimes, but that was a really good
Awareness.
that was a really good situation to observe and be a part of,
Yeah.
because it did give me a balance of understanding what it takes to make it,
Yeah.
when you're running a checkbook very tightly. And
Yeah. But your father would sooner give up everything himself
yes,
than to have us
right.
ever feel that. So I hope, in my mind, yes, I did that, but I kept that to myself. I hope I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, you had
let
to,
that in.
I'm sure there were times when you were, really having to look closely at how much things cost at the grocery store. And I remember when I was in college, I learned how to cook a little bit. And I remember making certain dishes and being so proud of myself that I spent $3.50 to make a particular meal that was something that you made for us. And it was out of necessity to be budget conscious, but still those were comfort foods. And I was very proud of myself that I could get through tight financial times myself. Now, I didn't always make the best choices because I wanted to have a fancy car. And I remember I got a fancy car with a big balloon payment at the end because I wanted to have the car. I wanted to work hard to have it. And I had to eat some ramen noodles, a lot of ramen noodles to be able to afford the car. But I just admired the entrepreneurial successes that you all had. And that, I think, contributed to Phil, my brother, and me in what we do for our own businesses and our own creative ventures because we saw you all do it so well together.
Well, I have to add to that, just as a little hint. Hutspot.
Yes.
It's a budget meal.
It's a Dutch dish, mashed potatoes and mashed carrots with brown gravy, and it's delicious.
And it's sort of a cottage, they call it cottage food.
Yes.
And so there were certain dishes that I intentionally made, and it was always, we're having a Dutch dinner tonight. That was how it was presented. And they're my favorite meals to this day.
Yeah.
I love that.
Everybody loves comfort food.
But I think it's also interesting that both of you got so entrepreneurial yourselves, you and Phil.
Yeah.
And you know how to do it.
Yeah.
And both
But it was
make
so cool
successes.
because we watched you and we watched Dad. And I remember I had some friends in school who had no idea what their parents did for a living. And I think Phil and I always knew exactly what you were doing because we lived it. It was part of our lifestyle. Your business was very much a lifestyle business. Like we lived with the beautiful antiques in our home. And so even though we lived in a very nice home, it wasn't a mansion, but we had some palatial furnishings.
Your father's good taste.
Yeah. And so we just appreciated the business and we grew up around the arts and we liked having these unique things. And I think that just drove us both to be creative. Phil is quite a curator of motorcycles and I did interior decorating for a while. And so it's just...
And successfully.
Yeah.
And you both know what hard work
Yes.
it requires to do it. It doesn't
For
just
sure.
happen.
Yeah. And so we were all involved in the business together and extracted a lot of knowledge and implemented it into our own businesses. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because you and Phil have both worked in the business and you've both been memorable parts of it to customers. And we've always loved hearing when we've been away on a buying trip that, you all were present and took over so nicely.
Yeah.
And so that's very good too. So sometimes I was involved in it in a more emergency status, which was if I saw a 300-pound streetlight come in bronze that was gorgeous, and his inventory was always gorgeous, I would have the phone in my hand, dialed to 911.
Oh my gosh.
Ready to push it because he was bringing it in by himself.
Right. Because in the family business, we didn't have a whole staff. It was Dad a lot of times just moving things by himself, having to get super creative. And meanwhile, you're sitting there probably sweating, watching him endanger his own life to move a piece of very, very heavy iron by himself. Yeah.
It was amazing.
He did what he had to do. And you supported him every step of the way.
911 ready.
But yeah, like you just never left his side. You were very involved in all of that. And there were some little minor catastrophes here and there that you had to observe. I remember there was a piece of iron that like fell through his leg.
Oh, yeah. And we had a trip the next day for a buying trip to go overseas. And we have pictures of him driving with his broken foot.
Throughout Europe.
And the crutches.
Yeah.
And he nothing stopped him.
No, nothing stops him. And I think for you, because nothing stops him, you kind of have to go along for that ride. Otherwise, you wouldn't be married for 58 years.
No.
Right?
Right.
You wouldn't be. And so even though you may not be preset to do all the things that Dad does, you are always by his side. And so you're always his partner in crime and you're the willing participant / supporter. It's really sweet.
Thank you.
And I think also now as you're dealing with how challenging Parkinson's is, it's also really beautiful to see the roles flipped a little bit. Dad has always been so supportive of you, but he is always by your side, especially now that he's retired. And it's just beautiful timing. And it's just wonderful to see how the two of you are in sickness and in health. You know what I mean? Like he is
there
24/7 with you.
Yes,
You're
ma'am.
never apart.
Nope.
Yeah. So we had lunch recently, the four of us at Joey D's, I remember. And Dad said to me, he leaned in, he said, "Julie, there's this very strange thing that's been happening lately. I wonder what you make of it. And so he explained to me that lately, when you and he are out and about and you're like walking around holding hands, or, if you just need to be arm in arm with dad to navigate some bumpy sidewalk or a road, people are coming up to you and they're commenting on how sweet you are and how beautiful couple you are. And dad seemed perplexed by that. And I said, well, Dad, it's obvious. You love each other and you're always together. You're literally arm in arm, but you feel that love with each other. And I just think that's such a beautiful thing. 58 years married, and there aren't a whole lot of people who are as in love and as happy together as you both are. It's true. Because there's so many couples that you see in restaurants that are sitting across from each other, heads down, nothing to say,
yeah.
or maybe they're on their phones, or maybe they just aren't connected in any way, and you can sense that. So I think the phenomenon that Dad's talking about, it's just a beautiful thing for people to see.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
But
and that's another thing that fascinates me. Your example that you have set for me as a wife. I mean, that's how I roll with Justin.
I hope you know how much we admire the
Wow.
way the two of you have connected as well over these years. And you're not a short timer either.
I realized when I started this podcast that I really love talking to people. And I think that's another thing that I got from you, because you are someone who can talk to anyone about anything. You make such a conscious effort to relate and lean in and listen and get to know people. Sometimes I think so much so that people love talking about themselves, and sometimes they don't ask enough about you. What's your story? And you've actually said that to me over the years, and that hurts my feelings for you, because I think it hurts your feelings sometimes too when conversations can be very one-sided. I mean, it happens.
Yeah, but I'm curious, and I don't have to guess about me. So
yeah, and so if you are naturally a curious person, it does kind of turn into a situation where the people get to talk about themselves a lot.
Yeah.
But in my role as podcast host, I think I got some of my skill in doing this just from learning how to be a conversationalist with you and a good listener with you.
Thank you.
Justin and I were talking about doing this episode today with you, and he said, your mom is so incredibly driven to relate that she started getting into football for me.
I did.
He loves that about you, and I think that's just so cute, because we don't come from a family of watching football.
Oh, no.
We don't.
No.
And so here you are in your 70s learning all about football.
Not all about, but enough to,
Some about.
Yeah. But I want to know more, because I do want to have a conversation. But
You actually watch it, though. I don't watch it, and I'm his wife. You actually watch
you don't
football.
watch it with him?
That fascinates me, that my mom watches football.
Oh, but only with Justin. I wouldn't watch it with anybody else. That's cute.
Very cute.
Yeah, but we admire your marriage, so
Well, thank you.
it's and if we had any any responsibility for setting that, we're so glad we did that, because
Yes.
we want every happiness for you.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
So when I have to tell you, and I'm so glad I have this opportunity, because you are so a reflection of what I had hoped for you.
Oh,
When you first told us that you were going to do this subject and a podcast, I thought to myself, that is so perfect, because you have fascinated me,
oh,
and how you've developed into this phase. And I knew that you were listening to podcasts, and I knew how much you enjoyed them. And I thought you should only know how good it would be if you came up with a subject that
Well,
would
thank you.
fit you. And
yeah,
this
this
really
is a
does. This
very
fits
suitable
you.
subject, because I do love getting to talk to people and hear what their story is,
Yeah.
because everywhere you go, you can have very surface interactions with people, but if you have the time or the desire, everyone has something really, really interesting about their story. And I just love getting to that. And it doesn't matter to me if I remain friends with that person or have any more time with them beyond our little interaction. I love getting to sprinkle that information and envision that story in my head after having interactions with people along the way.
At the moment.
But I think, just growing up with a mom like you who's endlessly curious, and you're such an avid reader, and you became the historian technically for the family business, researching all of the beautiful antiques. While Dad was out there finding them, he didn't always know what he was finding, but then you would do the deep dive and refer back to everything that you had read in the past and continue researching. You're just very curious about what the total picture and the total story is about people and about the things in the business and the
that's
arts.
been interesting. That has been
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
But we both do that because he has an eye, and then I'll do my little part to fill in some of the blanks maybe. But he is so knowledgeable about the things that he buys, and that always fascinates me too.
Yeah.
But thank you for doing this podcast.
Well, this was really fun having
doing
you
it so
on.
well.
It was perfect. And hopefully I'll have a chance to have Arden come on, because that'll be an interesting one to get to talk to her.
That would be nice.
Because you're a mom for the first time. I'm a mom for the first time. You're enjoying me having this conversation with you. You said you're fascinated by me, but you built me. And then I built Arden. And it's really neat, this whole mother-daughter experience.
It is.
So I'm enjoying the ride and all the different dimensions that it has been over the years. And I love you very much. And I'm so glad that you opened up the pages of your book with me today.
Thank you, sweetie.
Love you.
Love you.
As we wrap up today's conversation, I find myself reflecting not only on the stories my mom shared, but on the privilege of watching her revisit them. There was something incredibly sweet about seeing what was happening behind her eyes as she traveled back to those moments, arriving in the U.S. as a little girl, learning a new language, and finding her footing in a new country, and embracing a future that she couldn't yet imagine. I loved hearing about the excitement of falling in love and getting married at an age that feels remarkably young by today's standards, and the courage it took to build a life together amid uncertainty. I was reminded of the years she spent raising our family while my dad poured his energy into building a business, and how so much of what felt effortless to us as children was made possible by her steady presence behind the scenes. And even today, as she navigates the challenges of Parkinson's, she continues to face life with grace, resilience, optimism, and an unwavering sense of gratitude. One thing that became even clearer throughout this conversation is that none of these chapters belong to just one person. Woven through every story was the love and support of my dad. Their partnership, their loyalty to one another, and the life they have built together are impossible to separate from the story itself. So while today's conversation began with my fascination for my mom, it ultimately became a fascination with both of my parents, seen through her lens. This story is one of commitment, perseverance, family, and love. And as their daughter, I feel incredibly fortunate to have been shaped by the example that they've given me. Mom, thank you for sharing your memories and your wisdom and your heart with all of us today. And thank you both for the beautiful life you have built and the legacy you continue to create. If you'd like to support the show, subscribing on YouTube is one of the most meaningful ways to do that. And of course, you can listen wherever you get your podcasts.